season, and right now we are going to welcome in cross-country coach Joe Eby. Coach, thank you very much for joining us. I greatly appreciate the time.
Absolutely. Great to be here.
First and foremost, thank you for dealing with me reading through the week that was.
Yeah,
I do appreciate it. But you're now in season number 8 as the coordinator of cross-country and track and field at BW. How have you been able to build up the program in your time here in Berea?
You know, Baldwin Wallace is just a great place to be, and we've been really fortunate to get some very special individuals, and so just every year we're trying to plug away and just get a little bit better. And we had a pretty good run a couple years ago, especially on the women's side, with going to nationals a handful of times and winning a regional championship, and so just trying to continue to build on that and get those types of athletes in and develop them and go from there.
You have mentored dozens of academic All-OAC, All-Ohio, and All-OAC performers. How do you get somebody into the program and then help them reach those levels of success that maybe they didn't even know they could get to?
I think a lot of it's just the individualization that we give the athletes, and just meeting with them and getting to know them as human beings first, and trying to figure out what their goals are and what direction they want to head and what experience they want to have, and then just laying out what it's going to take to get there, and just being honest with them. And we've been really fortunate that we've had a lot of very good leaders on our team, and so they take ownership of it as well, and they set a lot of those academic goals and so on and so forth, and so they hold each other accountable to a lot of that stuff. But once again, I think it's just the individualization and fostering relationships with individuals and figuring out what makes them tick and trying to push the buttons to get them to go in the direction that they're wanting to go themselves.
Yeah, and it's all has to happen organically, right? It's not something that you can just say by September 15th, we're going to be this.
Right,
it's like you have to really kind of let it develop on its own. Encourage it when you can, but also let it happen organically. Let the leaders develop, and the younger kids start to mature a little bit.
Yeah, and it's every group is different. Every group has its own personality, so as you said, it has to be organic. And I think our groups have always performed the best when they're more relaxed and just kind of having fun with things. And so, as I said, just trying to figure out what buttons to push and how to interact with them, and what they need to be successful, and what's going to help them achieve those goals. And so some people are very numbers driven, and so I'll show them the stats of individuals that have come before them and the workouts that they've run, and others don't want to see that. That puts too much pressure on them. And so just talking to them about, okay, here's where you've been in the past, here's what you need to do to get to the level that you've talked about in your goal setting meetings and all that kind of stuff.
So there's excuse my ignorance,
No,
but there's analytics actually involved in cross country besides just like the PRs that we always hear about?
Yeah, 100%. So a lot of it comes down to you need to be able to do X in training in order to run at Y for racing. And there's some people that will race at a higher level than they work out, and you kind of have to figure that out too. And so that becomes part of the conversation as well, right? So Alyssa Lochner was somebody that she was tenacious when you put her out there to compete. But it took her a while to get going in some of the workout stuff. And so as a freshman, she would have okay workouts and then just race phenomenally. And so I had to kind of adjust looking at her times and things that she was doing in workouts, and then have those conversations with her that, hey, that's okay that you're not here because you're a gamer, right? And you're gonna perform really well. Whereas like Hope Murphy is very numbers driven. So I can tell her, here's what Kelly Brennan did a couple years ago, and she'll try to go out and beat that. And then we'll talk about, okay, well, here's what Kelly was racing, and then she'll try to go out and beat that too.
It's funny that you mentioned those two young ladies, because I had the pleasure of talking to them both many times throughout the seasons last year. And the one thing that they always said was that first meeting, it was kind of random, but they just clicked from the beginning. And I wonder if they clicked because they were a nice balance for each other. They kind of kept each other in check, if you will. And they mentioned that as a coach, you were kind of instrumental in putting them together and letting that kind of develop organically too. But what was it about each of them that you thought would be a good fit to kind of train with the other?
Their skill sets are very different. Alyssa is really good at the longer stuff, and so anytime we would have longer intervals or more sustained efforts, Alyssa was really good at that stuff, where Hope is really good at the short, fast stuff. And so kind of throwing them in together and having them work together on some of that, opposites attract. And I think they both gained a ton from the other's strengths, right? And so from that perspective, it was awesome because you have somebody that's really, really fast, and that's something that Alyssa needed to work on, so she had somebody to chase. And Hope wasn't quite as good at the tempo stuff, and Alyssa was, and so Hope got significantly better at that, trying to chase Alyssa. And and then obviously they had Hastings before them and Kelly before them, and that all just gets passed down from generation to generation. And our team in general, just they get along well, and they are friends outside of the team and running. And Alyssa and Kelly were really close friends because they spent a lot of time on road trips and going to national meets together. And then so once Kelly left and Hope came in, it was kind of the same thing. It was just Alyssa was the one that would happen to be in the middle for both type of deal. But I think it's when you get to go on some of those longer nationals trips, and it's a really small group and it's an intimate group, you just get to know each other significantly better because you have 12 hours or plus in the car together, just
long
talking.
Time.
And then you just have a couple days at the hotel where you're just hanging out, watching movies, or we would go back to the hotel and watch the rest of the meet and have dinner and stuff like that. So I think part of that is where they develop those really close relationships and bonds. And
what does it mean for you when you see that happen? Does it kind of reinforce the efforts that you've made to help
100%.
build this program, and does it kind of give you confidence that this is something that's going to carry on, like you said, from Kelly to Alyssa, and now from Alyssa to Hope, and then to the next great one too.
The next big recruit we bring on, right? 100%, yeah, because ultimately that's one of the most important parts of this experience, right, is the friendships and the people that you get to meet and interact with. And the running fast is just a happy byproduct of the rest of it. But I always talk about how you're like the 5 people you surround yourself with the most. And I jokingly say this, but it's really true. I spend more time around the kids on the team than I do my own wife a lot of the year, right?
Right.
And so I want to make sure that we have good human beings on our team and that they're people that I enjoy spending time with and I think are going to help make me a better person. And so I'm hoping that that's the same, that I'm helping make them better people, they're helping make each other better people, and that's just the atmosphere that we're trying to foster within the program. So 100%, yeah, when you start to see some of that stuff and when they come back and hang out with each other or they go visit each other and after they graduate, that means a lot to me because it is part of what I'm here to do, right? More so than at times the running piece, because that's the stuff that lasts with you for the rest of your life. It's cool that they get to go do the national meets and run fast and get trophies and all that stuff, but it's really the memories of those trips that'll be the most meaningful 20 years from now.
Yeah, absolutely. Even in the years that come before 20-year anniversaries, the thing that I noticed by talking to Alyssa and Hope was that they just really honestly loved watching each other succeed. And Hope couldn't watch Alyssa's last race at Nationals in track because she was preparing for her own, but Alyssa made sure she went up to her beforehand, gave her a big, giant bear hug and said, hey, it's your turn, go do it, and they did. That's just nice to see, but it's nice also to see that that was just the start for Hope and what she's been able to do. She won back-to-back races already this year. How nice is it to have her production in the lineup, but also the important example that she sets for the next generation of
Yeah,
jackeys?
I mean, it's unbelievable, right? She's just such a mega talent, and but she's just very approachable to the freshmen, and she's starting to foster that relationship with them and really helping them come along. And she's just such a great human being and a really good leader. And so once again, just having really good people around us is nice. But yeah, she's really good too. She can run really fast.
Yeah, I mean, it was nice to see what she was able to do in the bigger meets last year.
Yeah.
I mean, she went out and she won the regional. I mean,
yeah.
that's pretty fantastic to do it at such a young age and knowing, hey, I might have 2 or 3 more cracks at this. I could do it again.
Yeah. I mean, it's she's got some pretty lofty goals this year. She was third in the nation in the 1500. She's the top returner coming back. We've set some pretty high bar for the whole year, and so it'll be fun to see how it comes together. And she's just doing a phenomenal job in training and her workouts. She had a workout on Friday that was just unbelievably good. So I'm really excited for this weekend, and the whole team did, really. I mean, the whole team is kind of just coming around right at the right time, and so excited to see, the meets start counting this weekend towards national qualifying, and there's going to be a bunch of regionally ranked and nationally ranked teams that are going to be at the pre-national meet this weekend in East Lansing. And, for Hope, let's go lead the team and let's see how high we can place and kind of put our stamp on things a little bit. And then for the rest of the team, it's, hey, let's go beat some of these teams that are regionally ranked. We're not right now. And we haven't beat any teams that would warrant us being ranked, but I think we're good enough to put our name in that hat. And, we're going to get our opportunity this weekend, which will be exciting.
Flipping things over to the men's team, you're a little bit younger, but you've had a lot of freshmen and sophomores step up in big ways. How nice is it to have that kind of production from the younger kids, knowing that there are not a lot of upper-class leaders, within the program?
Yeah, we have David Russo transferred in from Houghton this year, and he's doing a 1-year MBA, and so he's a 5th-year senior. He's still adapting to our system and workouts and all of that, but he's kind of a lead-by-example guy. He's a little bit quiet, but he's brought a lot of maturity to the team, and he is really competitive as well. And so he's done a great job in the races of sticking his nose in there. And so that has been really nice. But man, our young crew is doing a phenomenal job, and we've got 2 freshmen, especially in Steven and Sam, that they're going to be pretty special, and it's really exciting to see them start to come along. And as I mentioned, we had really good workouts last week. We didn't race, so it's funny sometimes. I think they always want to have a weekend off from racing, and then they do the workouts, and I think they would rather race than do some of the workouts that we do. But they just absolutely killed them, both of them, and so that really sets us up well for this weekend. And once again, we're going to be in the mix on both the men and the women's side to beat some regionally ranked teams from not only our region but other regions from around the nation. And I think this could be an exciting weekend, and it matters now, because this is, if you beat some of these teams and you can run well at the regional meet, then you might be punching your ticket to go back to East Lansing in the end of November. But that's obviously one step at a time, right? We got to be regionally ranked before you got to crawl before you walk, and all that. But I think there's just a ton of potential, and it'll be exciting to see what especially the young crew can do as they gain experience and as they kind of go through these things.
One more question before we let you go, Coach. You mentioned these workouts that were just phenomenal.
Yeah.
What do the athletes do during these workouts? Are they running or racing like heavily, or are they what's going on in those bye weeks that you have to prepare yourself for bigger meets?
Yeah, the volume of the work that we do is just significantly higher than what we would do during a race week, and so and the intensity is higher too. And so we had a really good 5K pace workout on Tuesday, and then we had a really good tempo or threshold workout on Friday. And so we kind of hit both ends of the spectrum a little bit, you know, and they can be a little bit more aggressive with things because, you know, this week we'll have a workout, but it's not going to be nearly as intense as what we did last week and trying to get ready for this week. So we kind of dial it up a little bit on some of those off weeks. And so next week will be the same deal because we have another off weekend, and it'll be big volume and a little bit higher intensity. And then we'll come down going into the Oberlin Interregional Rumble, and then we'll do the same thing, you know, going into conference because we have another week off and then conference. And so we're kind of in that pattern of every other week now. And so you kind of just got to ride the wave and try to get ready for the big meets that are coming up. And but yeah, it's just more intensity, more volume. Everything's really individualized, so the freshmen aren't doing as much as the upperclassmen, and you know, Hope's running with some of the guys, honestly, in some of the workouts, and so it's all just very individualized on who needs what paces and that kind of stuff. And it's just based on, okay, where are you racing and what are your goals for the end of the year? So.
Cool. Well, this weekend, the Yellow Jackets will return to the course on Saturday, October 1st, when they travel to Forest Acres Golf Course in East Lansing, Michigan for the NCAA Division III National Preview. Coach, best of luck in East Lansing, and thank you very much for the time.
Yeah,
pleasure to meet you. That's head cross-country coach Joe Eby. He, again, is leading the Yellow Jackets into the NCAA Division III National Preview